We are June 2014 and I just got my scuba diving certification. So I found myself on my very first tropical diving holiday. Clear blue water, small fishes, a turtle or two. When I surfaced that first day, I found that I was covered in small, sticky, colorful bits. I asked if it was algae, perhaps. It wasn't. I had been swimming in the plastic soup. Fast forward to 2019, and lucky me, I'm on holiday again, this time on an island. Friendly people, small villages, everything was great. The only thing that was missing was garbage bins. But, surprisingly, also litter. Despite the lack of bins, there was very little litter on the streets. I asked local people how that was possible. And they said, we don't have a centralized waste system, so we burn our waste. For them, it was the easiest solution. In Belgium, we have PMD. Plastic packaging, metal packaging, drink cartons. They all go into the blue bag, and those blue bags are collected right at your doorstep. It's easy. It's a small gesture, you sort, we come and pick it up. It's perfect. It hasn't always been that way, though. Up until 2018, the P of PMD only stood for plastic bottles and flasks. But with ever more stringent European regulations in terms of recycling, with member companies looking for more circularity in their packaging, and with a clear consumer demand to protect our natural resources, we had to ask ourselves, how can we make it easier? So we expanded the sorting message. From then onwards, almost all plastic packaging was allowed into the blue bag. And we saw the difference, because the sorting error rate dropped significantly. All those packaging that initially we had questions about were now simply allowed and recycled. Easier. Today, 5 years later, we collect an additional 90,000 tons, that's a lot of wind, 90,000 tons of packaging material for recycling every year. Most of them is plastic types. In order to recycle them, we sort them out in 5 high-tech sorting centers spread around Belgium into 16 pure material streams ready for the international recycling market. Not to some faraway country where they may become part of that plastic soup, but here, in Belgium and in Europe. 81% of everything that we collect is recycled on Belgian soil. The rest goes to France, Germany, the Netherlands. And the part of recycling that stays in Belgium is set to increase even further with the construction of 5 new recycling centers specific for plastic packaging types. 3 of them are already operational. Recycling polyethylene foils, technical name, which are the wrappings around 6 bottles of soda, for example, into new secondary raw material to make new foils. Or plastic bottles, which will even come back onto the Belgian market to close the loop. And mixed polyolefins, which is the residual fraction of all sorting and proves that we can even valorize those harder to recycle materials. I don't know about you, but ever since I started working for Fost Plus, I receive all kinds of sorting questions from my friends and family. Because despite the simplified sorting message, some doubts still persist. So we have to ask ourselves, how can we make it easier? For example, by opening the blue bag to products that are not packaging but resemble packaging. Think about the beverage capsules. They are allowed to be sorted in the blue bag since January of this year. That has not been a decision that we took lightly. Because despite the fact that it's valuable materials, it's not packaging. So sorting infrastructure needed to be adapted, recycling markets needed to be found. But with the potential to collect and recycle 4,500 tons of packaging material, it was well worth the effort. But we also use digital tools. Not only our Recycle app, which is a smartphone app that gives you collection information for your address and sorting advice, but also through artificial intelligence. It's a buzzword almost. Artificial intelligence is everywhere. But we use it to test and to try photo-based dynamic sorting instructions in order to avoid that perfectly recyclable packaging ends up in residual waste because we are unsure. Over the course of the years, our role has expanded. Fost Plus is a PRO, a producer responsibility organization. So that means that on behalf of our members, the companies that put packaged product on the market, we ensure that there's a recycling solution. We organize and finance that recycling chain. But over the course of the years, that role has changed. Initially, almost 30 years ago, we were created to collect and recycle the package that you use at home. But modern consumption trends have evolved, and we use and discard ever more packaging at work, at the gym, and even when we commute. Different locations that need a different approach to sorting, but they do have one thing in common. In order to make it as easy as possible, we have to make sure that we maximally replicate the sorting habit, the sorting behavior we have at home. All that with success, because we do have a recycling rate for household packaging in Belgium of 95%, which puts us right in the European top. But is it enough? Well, it isn't, because it means that 5% still ends up in residual waste, still ends up as litter. So we have to question our methods and we have to question ourselves and think, how can we make it even easier? So we look into new digital tools in line with modern consumption trends, into more communication, into more sensitization. Decidedly, we are not alone in this. Our members, so the companies that put the packaging onto the market, they work hard for more recyclable options, to print sorting instructions right on the boxes, and when different types of materials need to be combined, to make sure that they can be easily disassembled by the consumer, that consumer ease stays at the heart of everything we do. Because there is no recycling without sorting, and sorting starts with the consumer. So why does packaging still end up in landfills, in the ocean as part of the plastic soup, or in the incinerator? Lack of infrastructure, lack of knowledge, lack of participation. Luckily, Belgium, and by extension Europe, finds that it has really good waste management systems in place and really good habits, consumer habits. Still, we continue to innovate and ask ourselves every day, how can we make it easier? Thank you.